Okay, hi everyone. Sorry about that. I'm back now. So I will be timing on my laptop, but just in case I don't switch back and type it in the chat, I would definitely encourage you to time speakers on your own just so you know, if you're speaking or if you want to give a POI, you know that it's within the time frame. Okay, without any further ado, on the motion, this House believes that King Triton should have punished Ariel for her decision to trade with Ursula. I'd like to call upon the Prime Minister to begin this debate. Here.
Give me a second to just gather my notes.
Okay.
Hi. So I prefer my POIs verbally and pronunciation, and starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so this motion takes place in the movie The Little Mermaid, and in this movie, Triton gives up his throne and steps in to take Ariel's place in the curse of becoming a polyp, which then caused Ursula to take control of the entire Mer Kingdom, Atlantica, in which jeopardizing the entire nation. So now who is Ariel, right? Ariel is the princess of Atlantica, and she has an obligation to protect her own people, and she directly violated this for her own selfish reasons. And so before we talk about Triton, I want to define what is a good king. So a good king needs to listen to the people. He needs to be able to protect them. And most importantly, he must know how to make rational decisions. And Triton, as a king of Atlantica, he also has an obligation to protect the people. But he does not show a single trait as a good king in the movie. She did not make a rational decision as he is willing to give up his own power to a crazy and evil witch and take Ariel's place as being punished. So his people need consolation after they were all put in danger because of Ariel's stupid choice to trade with Ursula. And his people would demand Ariel to be held accountable after entering them. And he needs to show that he cares about his people and will not allow for something like this to happen again, which he doesn't in the movie. So I also would like to, so how the punishment would look like. We would like to banish Ariel. We want to banish Ariel. So why banishment is a justified punishment? So we'll explain this further on our team case in 2 arguments. The first being Ariel failed her duties as the princess of Atlantica, and second being her immature decisions jeopardized the entire Mer Kingdom. And so why is banishment good? So because this banishment thing is a win-win situation, the people will feel happy and Ariel will feel happy. So why Ariel will be happy? Ariel can go and find her true love, Eric, and be happy and have a happy ending. And Triton manages to show his people that as king, he cares for them, he cares that their safety that were jeopardized by his own daughter. So Odd will probably come out and tell you that love is very important, so we shouldn't punish Ariel for being loved. So we then punish her. We want to punish her and let her go to find her own true love, which is Ariel. So moving on to our stakeholders, first off, we have Ariel herself. She is important because she's the one getting punishment. And second, being the Mer people, important because Ariel's decision keep them in their endangered their entire species. So moving on to our side, we like to prove that punishing Ariel will bring more good than harm to the Mer people. I would like to bring this down to 2 arguments. The first being Ariel failed her duty as princess and deserves to be punished, and the second that we do this for the people, which my second speaker will talk about later. So I would like to bring the first argument to 3 different levels, right? The first being that Ariel colluded with a banished wish. The second that her decision jeopardized the entire nation, and third, she should set an example. So the first level of explanation, right? She collide with a banished witch. So Ariel was already well aware of Ursula's the sea witch banishment, but she still went to meet Ursula. So who is Ursula? Ursula is known to have black magic and very power hungry, not to mention evil. And she also is her father's Triton's rival. So Ariel meeting with Ursula is very wrong in the first place to begin with. And as if that wasn't enough, Ariel even traded with the witch. Ursula grants Ariel's wish to be human for 3 days, but she must give Ariel the kiss of true love before the sunset on the third day, or she belongs to Ursula. So two problems with this trade. First is Ariel was very naive. So how can you make someone fall in love with you in 3 days, realistically? So also Ariel already know what type of person Ursula was, and yet she still traded with someone who wishes more than nothing to take over her father's throne and become king. And second, being that Ariel was overconfident, she assumed that she would be able to kiss Eric in 3 days and wouldn't belong to Ursula. And thirdly, is that she didn't even think of what if she failed to kiss Eric in 3 days. What will the consequences of that be? If she failed to get the kiss in 3 days, she'll belong to Ursula. How did she not realize the consequences of that? If Ariel was just an ordinary mermaid, it would be fine, but she isn't. She is the princess of Atlantica, and what she did is principally incorrect. And so bringing on to our second level of argument is that she jeopardized her entire nation. Ariel endangered her entire nation just for a mere human. She communicated with a banished witch that everybody knows is a very dangerous individual. She traded her voice for her legs, which is very stupid. And the trade consists of Ursula explaining that she can grant Ariel's wish to be human for 3 days, but she must give Ariel the kiss of true love before the sunset on the third day, or she belongs to Ursula. So we should address the fact that Ariel fell into the man that she did not even talk to. And then, of course, in the movie, she failed to give the kiss. She failed to give the kiss in the time limit, which caused Ariel to be imprisoned by Ursula. But then King Triton gave up his power because he wanted to save Ariel. He gave up his power to control over the ocean and gave his trident, the main source of power, to Ursula. So Ariel single-handedly caused all of that just because of her immature thinking. Not once did she even think of the consequences of trading with Ursula. So she even failed her obligation as a princess to protect her nation. And second, she failed to think what would happen if she were to pollute. And thus, she jeopardized the entire nation just because of her stupid immature love for a mere human man that she met at first sight. So moving on, like Ariel, ourselves believes that Ariel has to set an example to the entire mer people because she is the princess. So the status quo is that where many mer people traded with Ursula's then turned into polyps, but still they go to find Ursula because King Triton should never even punish them. So our side would like to show that even if you are a princess, you should also get punished for endangering your people and other mer people also when they did wrong stuff. And our side, Deputy Prime Minister will elaborate more on this. And thus, end my speech to propose. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Prime Minister, for that speech. Now I'd like to call upon the Leader of Opposition.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. In our side opinion, Ariel is a passionate, curious, independent, talented, vibrant, disobedient girl who happened to make exactly the right choice. At 16, the dangers of disobeying her father in this scenario were enormous, which obviously makes a good movie. In real life, Ursula could have easily been part of a sex trafficking ring. Next, Eric. For only have seen him twice, she took a tremendous risk. Although from what we see of him, he's a pretty great guy, but she seems oblivious to his character. Anyways, besides, how horrible he could have been married to her. What if he played it up, broke her heart, and handed her over to the sea witch, or figured it out, and married a woman he wasn't in love with to save her life? Okay, some of that is unlikely. Obviously, there are so many things about Ariel to praise. Her independence is truly admirable in this age of completely dependent young adult. In a society where our young adults are at home longer, are marrying her later, know very few life skills, and don't even know how to buy postage stamps. She is an inspiration to be better. It's literally illegal to be as independent as Ariel was, marrying at 16. She's a good example to young girls nowadays. Ariel is a girl who takes big risks to find her own way in life. We've noticed that most Disney movies have convenient cop-out parents, usually that the coming of age story and can only take place without parents. So either they are out of the way or need to be fought. Our side made the bold choice to keep one parent who, like Mother Gothel, needed to be opposed. We are actually really grateful for Ariel. She's What was Ariel supposed to do? She's in love with a young boy, and Ursula was the only one who's willing to give her the life she wanted. She was also born to be human, and there's no other way she could follow her dreams. Had Triton understood that, he would help her and she wouldn't have had to resort to visiting the sea witch. That's the end of my speech. Thank you.
All right, thank you, LO, for that speech. Now I'd like to call upon DPM.
Hello? Am I audible?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Let me take my timer. Okay. So starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. So today as DPM, I'll be starting my rebuttals first. So firstly, what the upside have said about Ariel is that she's passionate and she's a very independent example. Like she's full of independence, like for a young adult, and that she is a good example for girls nowadays. And I feel that this is just ridiculous to say this, because like what Ariel is here, she's just a naive young adult that doesn't know anything about the outside world and thinks that she should go outside without her father's protection and everything, and she's blinded by love. That she knew that Ursula is she knew that Ursula was a villain. She knew that Ursula had bad intentions, and she still went to sign the contract just to be with someone who she met like 3 days for like 3 days or whatsoever. And we feel that this is just stupid and this is dumb, and people nowadays should never do this. Consider there's so many bad things that can happen to you nowadays. We feel that Ariel is like a terrible example for women, for young girls, and this is why we feel that King Triton should have punished Ariel for her decision to trade with Ursula. And also, like the op have said something about how she's very brave to, like, she should have confronted her father, to like let her go out and seek love or something. But we feel that that is really stupid too, because and it is not his father's fault to, even though Ariel confronted her father, his father would never have let her went out because he wanted to protect her because of what has happened to her mother in the past, right? Yeah, this is also why we feel that King Triton is not to blame, and And now I'll be going on with my second argument for the day. So my second argument for the day is that we would punish Ariel for the people. We would, because King Triton here, he should punish Ariel, even though Ariel is her daughter, for the people of the Mer Kingdom. So he needs to, there's two things here. He needs to show the Mer people that even princesses must be held accountable, and that he needs to let his people know that the kingdom is important to him, and that he will fulfill his responsibility as a king, that he is worthy. So as we said, right, we'll be banishing Ariel, right? So we don't care that where Ariel will go. She can go to look for Eric and continue their everlasting love forever. But we just don't care where Ariel will go, because we're just gonna banish her from this kingdom for what she have done. Right? Okay, so like by doing this, right, we're letting people know that, right, even if you're a princess, right, you also must be held accountable for your wrongdoings, right? And you need to let people know that even though Ariel is his daughter, he still has to punish her, because that she puts the entire kingdom in danger. So firstly is that you assure your people that something like this will never happen again, and you need to let people know how sorry you are, and you need to amend the trust and the troubles and the chaos that Ariel has caused. Right? Also, you need to let people know that you are not biased to your daughter, and when something comes forward and like to say, oh, you need to choose between your kingdom and your daughter, and that you would choose your daughter because you are king for a reason, you are chosen as king for a reason, and you cannot just simply like ignore this title and like be biased towards your daughter, right? Because you need to put your people first. Like if there are millions of citizens versus like one person who's your doctor, of course if you're a random father, okay lah, you can say that you will put your daughter first because she's your daughter, right? But that is just in the case that if you are like a father. But you need to know that King Triton is not just a father, right? He is like the king. He's the king of like so many people, like, so he is in charge of the lives of so many people, so he needs to take responsibility in this too, right? So also, like, as a citizen, right, you will also be enraged and angry, you'll be disappointed, you will demand justice and an explanation from the king, because like you put us all in danger just to save your daughter, and we were afraid that something like this will happen again. So like you need to punish, so King Triton needs to punish Ariel so that something like this, to give like an assurance for his citizen, right? So another thing is also that you prevent like uprising, yeah, and basically gain trust from the people, right? So imagine a scenario where people are someone in the real world was like selfish and did not think of others, like almost caused the death of like many people. So regardless of what, obviously this person must be punished, right? Because the rule in this world is that if you've done something wrong, you must pay for it, you must go to jail, you must be held accountable for your crime. Right? This is how the world works, right? Because even for kids, they are like juveniles. So we feel that there is no reason to not punish Ariel. And like this also deters the Mer people from doing wrong stuff, because even as a princess, you got punished, right? So basically, this is like setting an example for people to not be selfish and to put yourself above. And like you should never put yourself above, like when there is like 1,000 or 1,000,000 people, you should never put everyone in danger just because of your own selfishness, right? So another thing that is very important here is that, like, if you don't punish Ariel, right, you're giving other bad forces a chance to jeopardize the entire nation again, because like the people, they will get scared, they will get angry, and then like bad forces can come in and they will start like creating rumors on how like, oh, this king, he's not protecting you, he sacrificed all of you just to like save his daughter, he didn't think of you. And then people will start to not trust you anymore, and this is when you become very vulnerable and people will come in and jeopardize your entire nation, right? So this is why we think that King Triton should have punished Ariel for her decision to trade with Ursula, right? Because we feel that Ariel she has done something that is selfish and just like put everyone else in danger. And as a king, even as a father, you should punish your daughter, because that you should never have sacrificed, you should never have like put your entire kingdom in danger just to save your daughter. And this is why I'm proud to oppose. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, DPM, for that speech. Now I'd like to call upon DLO.
Good morning to the members of the floor. So I will now be replying to the government side, which they say all the Ariel's stupid acts are really ridiculous and should not happen in these days. But I'll say all these acts are caused by King Triton himself being as overprotective and abusive parents. And also banishing doesn't help anything, and it just helps to console all the more people. If King Triton did not do that to Ariel, which did not cause Ariel to be a co-independent kid, all this happened today will be impossible. So coming back to my speech, King Triton is shown to be a flawed but caring father. I would say he just like toxic parents toward his child. He keeps his daughter ensconced and protect from the world, treating her like a possession rather than an actual independent real life form. Because of this, that Ariel might have tried to escape her life since she was totally fed up of her overbearing daddy. I think he also disrespect her decision, battling her and making herself like as if she were a child, which is something for that show can make people develop low self-esteem and it can turn into a co-independent relationship. King Triton is a strict disciplinarian whose overprotective nature towards his daughter and has been the source of conflicts between him and Ariel, especially due to the obsessions with humans. He is shown to have an explosive temper when provoked, and it was also briefly implied that he may have a genocide thoughts on human in general, or at the very least didn't particularly care if a human ended up drowning, as when arguing with the Ariel shortly after discovering that she saved Eric. When Ariel tried to explain that Eric could have died if weren't for her, Triton has stated that it was one less human to worry about in response, despite confirming shortly afterward that he doesn't even know what Eric looks like. His eruptive nature, when pushed far enough, was also shown to lead to violent acts as he destroyed most of Ariel's human artifacts as way to get through to her. After the possibility of losing his daughter to the human world as brought into play, despite this, he immediately showed remorse afterward as his angered expression softened to one of despair. Earlier in the film, he also confides in Sebastian out of the field at thinking that he may have been too strict and hateful and abusive with Ariel, showing a struggle in both keeping her safe and being a loving father. I know that what his story for his daughter life ever since is he can't control his temper and his anger and his annoying behavior that because of his patients are not allowed to stare her so meaningful that are not supposed to do anything bad onto Ariel. He has to understand that Ariel is old enough to take care herself, and the humans are not all evil because they are good ones attacked by the bad ones after fighting over, and they are enjoying great joy at the time of celebration, but it didn't work, and not in a respect God. Since he getting very angry using his trident on her beautiful collection in her grotto, especially the Prince Eric statue, which Ariel loved them, but now it all ruined suddenly made her poor daughter heartbroken, crying, sobbing, and it a bit worse with tears is of a true love prince cause she loves him that she thinks he's kind, happily, and fun, but when he returned to her grotto, restoring to get them normal with the magic, he went to search for her and wants to apologize for what happened, and while he noticed that Ursula is the one who is evil, trespassing and trying to be frightened to all humans in the human world. Along her Ariel, while he's trying to save Ariel, but Ariel did it for him as they all worked together to stop the sea witch from threatening the whole entire world. Later, he defeated and he feels so thankful and grateful for her daughter while using some magic on his trident, performing her to human and form successfully. And at the last of the story, King Triton forced to confront Ursula and agrees to give up himself and his magical trident, return for Ariel's freedom. King Triton himself are the one who are causing her daughter Ariel and this whole kingdom with the trading between Ursula and Ariel, which makes Ariel is a totally co-independent girl without any thinking and hesitation. She just directly signed up the agreement with Ursula just to have her own dream life. And if King Triton have not been too overbearing and abusive to Ariel, this will not happen in today. So that's why this makes Ariel to trade with Ursula, as she thinks she really wants to get off her father and so on. Lastly, his anger had driven Ariel away, and it even caused her to be angry and make the bad decision by going to Ursula. So our side strongly opposed today's motion, which King Triton shouldn't punish Ariel for the trade with Ursula. Thank you.
All right, thank you, DLO. Now I'd like to call upon Gavwit.
Hi, please give me a bit. Very cool. Okay, starting in wait. All right. Starting in 3, 2, 1. So today we hear from side opposition that Ariel is an independent woman who should be an inspiration to young kids everywhere. One question, right? Please, opposition, can you please think about this, right? What makes a crime a crime? A crime is a crime when you cause third-party harm. And not to mention that Ariel not only caused harm to one person, she nearly jeopardized an entire nation. So that explains a lot of why she should not be an inspiration to young kids everywhere, okay? So I will first begin by rebutting all the points made by opposition team before I will talk about a few of the clashes in today's debate, right? So opposition came up and told us that for only seeing Eric once, Ariel risked so much for him even when the dangers of disobeying her father were enormous. This is literally why she's a bad example, because according to what we heard from opposition, right, they are basically saying that it is fine for you to risk everything for one single person. How is that a good thing? How is it good for you to put your life on the line for a human man? I don't see how that's a good thing. I don't see how that's a good example to young kids everywhere, right? And then they tell us, right, that Ariel is independent and they should be praised for this, right? Yeah, then if she wants independence, then we banish her, right? If you say that seriously, it is so bad in Atlantica, Triton is so bad, then if we banish her, shouldn't she be happy? Right? I don't see why it's a bad thing if Ariel is so independent, if Atlantica is so bad, if Triton is so bad, fine, we banish her. She should be happy. And if she is so independent, then she should be able to survive on her own, right? Therefore, we don't see why this punishment is a bad thing, and opposition never even like explain why the punishment is a bad thing. They also didn't like engage with our point that Ariel will also be happy if we banish her, because If she wants to, she can do whatever she wants. She can go find Ariel. So we don't see what's the harm in this, right? And then opposition also brings up how Ariel takes a big risk to find her own way in life. I don't think that's a big risk. I think that's a crime, right? Main reason, like I said, crimes are called crimes is because they cause third-party harm, right? And they also tell us, right, in Deputy Leaders of Opposition speech, they stated so clearly, right, Ariel is to be praised because without thinking or hesitation, she just signed with Ursula. Note that they said without thinking or hesitation. Ariel didn't even think when she signed with Ursula and jeopardized her entire nation. She didn't even think. I don't see how that should be an inspiration. I don't see how that should be praised of Ariel. I don't see how not thinking is a good thing, right? There's no explanation from side opposition, and all this stated like since now has been just like a one-liner of Ariel needs to be praised, and there is no further explanation, right? Okay. And then they also talk about how King Triton is overprotective and abusive. First of all, Triton is not abusive. He literally never hit Ariel. He didn't do anything to her. And if you want to say that like destroying her grotto was abuse, well, it really isn't. But even if it is, she only wanted to protect her, right? Look at what happened to his wife. His wife died because of human shit. He is scared that his daughter will end up like his mother, like end up like her mother, right? So that is the only way he knows of keeping his daughter safe, because the reality of the outside world is cruel and brutal. Ariel was just lucky. What if Eric was a jerk? What if she met a rapist, right? Even opposition wants to talk about how Ursula is basically a sex trafficking person. And there was like actually no explanation. It was like a one-liner of how Ursula is actually a sex trafficker, okay? But even opposition wants to say that Ursula in reality is probably like a sex trafficker. Then they also move on to say that Eric could have sold Ariel out to Ursula. That explains a lot on why the outside world is dangerous, right? That explains a lot on why Triton is trying to keep Ariel safe, because human world is terrifying. She was just lucky, and Ariel could have died out there, right? Okay, but luckily she didn't, but we're still going to banish her because if she wants independence, then we're gonna give her independence, right? Cool. Now the clashes that we think like our team believes is like the most important is who benefits the Mer Kingdom more, right? Because they are the vulnerable stakeholder. They almost died because of Ariel's decision. Now opposition does absolutely nothing to benefit the Mer Kingdom. All they talk about is like how like Ariel is a good inspiration and Triton, it was Triton's fault, okay? Which we already explained that it wasn't entirely his fault, and it was his daughters as well for even trading with Ursula in the first place, right? Okay, and however on God, we benefit the Mer Kingdom on two levels, right? We hold Ariel accountable for her wrongdoings and deters the Mer people from doing crimes and from committing crimes, right? And second level is that we show the Mer people that as the king, Triton cares about their well-being, and therefore this is a very good thing, and we benefit the Mer Kingdom very well, which opposition fails to do at all, even though they are basically like the citizens and are very vulnerable and should be benefited, but opposition does absolutely nothing to help them. All right. Is it King Triton's fault, right? This is also one of the main clashes that happen in today's debate, because opposition keeps saying that it is Triton's fault, right? However, we don't see how it is completely Triton's fault, because like we've explained, he just wants to protect his daughter, right? We don't think it's Triton's fault, especially even when opposition concedes to the fact that Triton felt remorseful and he searched for her, and he even took her place in the curse, right? This explains a lot on why Triton is not a bad father and why Triton is a good person. Also considering the fact that Ariel and Triton's relationship was not strained before. They were they had a really good father-daughter relationship. And the main reason why Triton got mad at her was because she disrespected her father and told him like basically like, oh, you're useless, I'm no longer a child and I no longer need to be protected, which is kind of untrue because she's only 16 and she isn't an adult yet. So yeah, we tell you that it's not King Triton's fault, and he should punish Ariel because Ariel jeopardized his citizens. Ariel jeopardized everyone for her own selfish reasons, and this is not supposed to be a good inspiration also, and therefore we are very proud to propose. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Guff Whip. Now I'd like to call upon Op Whip.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I'll
You're muted.
okay, sorry. Okay. Hold on, wait. Banishment or exile, is it really the right choice? The main point of this debate is which side benefits Ariel more, as the government first speaker has stated. What the government is proposing here is in essence neglect. Instead of helping Ariel, they are ignoring her responsibilities and letting her do whatever she wants by banishing her. When the motion says punishment, isn't punishment supposed to make an individual learn and repent on their previous mistakes? Why is the government promoting the idea of ignorance and irresponsibility? Furthermore, Ariel is a young adult, even a teenager, blinded by love. Love isn't something you can control. You can't choose who you love or even when. So is it fair to punish her for following her heart? Why not lecture her instead? Let her learn the truth of the real world instead of neglecting her like what the government is doing here. And also, like the third speaker has said, the world is dangerous, but you're banishing her. You're letting her out in the real world with no education or hindsight at all. How would that even help her? The government wants to talk about how they care about everyone, but do you even care about Ariel? Moving on. The main question asked. Yeah, sure.
All right, cool. So according to your previous speakers, you talk about how Ariel wants to be independent and our banishment does encourage her to be independent. And can you explain how you would encourage her to take on responsibilities?
Well, I'm going to talk about that in my clashes below, okay? So the main question asked in this debate is, would punishing her, which in this case is banishment, help her and everyone else? First of all, no. For Ariel, banishing her won't let her learn. So outside believes that let her stay and learn from the father to be a fitting ruler of a nation. Since the government cares so much about the nation losing like a hair, so why not just let her learn from the best, her father, instead of banishing her, which is technically letting her go and do whatever she wants in the future, free of her original responsibilities with no repercussions. How would that even benefit her in the first place, huh? And also, the government has gone about how the consequences were so large, but banishing her wouldn't help with anything, hence proving my previous point. Moving on, would punishing her help everyone else? Well, the king lost a daughter and the nation lost a heir. Wouldn't it be better for her to live up to her responsibilities and make up for what she has done? First of all, two wrongs doesn't make it right. Ariel's mistakes and her banishment doesn't make a better kingdom. And that's all I have for today. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Opposition Whip, for your speech. Now I'd like to call upon Opposition Reply.
Okay. So, being a king versus a loving father. So, as we know from the story, King Triton is a strict disciplinarian who is overprotective nature towards his daughter, which made Ariel is a totally naive and couldn't think so much while making some decision. And these are the sorts of conflicts between him and Ariel, and the strict disciplinarian who is overprotective nature toward his daughter has been the source of conflicts. Yeah, so his anger, his temper has driven Ariel away, and Triton at last in the story, Triton are forced to confront Ursula and agrees to give up himself to return for Ariel's freedom. So King Triton himself, if we talk back to being a father, King Triton himself are causing her daughter Ariel trade with Ursula, and Ariel are just a teenager and she just going to get what she wants in her life. So making Ariel as a co-independent girl without any thinking and hesitation, she just directly signed up the agreement with Ursula. So we shouldn't punish her, but instead of punishing, we should let her know the lesson of this, so she would not do this anymore, so she can learn from this lesson. And if you're just banishing her, as we know, she's a very naive person, so how can she learn from the lesson? And King Triton should, instead of punishing, King Triton should use another methods to let Ariel know about this, and he should not be like overprotective to her children, which makes Ariel treating her like possession rather than actual independent life form. So Ariel have been trying to escape her life since she was totally fed up of her overbearing father, and King Triton should respect her decision and let her feel as she were a child, which is something that for sure can make people develop their own self-esteem and it can turn into independence. So this is the end of my speech. Thank you.
Thank you, opposition reply, for that speech. Now I'd like to call upon government reply to end this debate.
Hi, am I audible?
Yep.
Okay, starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. So today, as reply, I'll be telling everyone mostly why we should win this debate. So firstly, right, in up speech, right, so firstly, like, which side benefits Ariel more? So like in our side, in up speech, they said that government, and our side we have encouraged ignorance, but in our side we said that we're gonna banish Ariel and we just simply don't care where she's gonna go. She can go do anything she wants. But I thought upside said that they want independence for Ariel. They like that Ariel is independent. So yeah, we'll just let Ariel be independent, right? And we said that this is how she can really learn about the real world. Like, so in our side, we feel that we benefit Ariel the most because we simply just let her do what she wants and gain independence. And so another thing is like, why is it okay for King Triton to be overprotective, right? So Op says that like the real world is terrifying and Ariel is still a child, and that Triton is like overprotective and abusive and anything, right? But on our side, we already told you that it is King Triton can be overprotective because he's desperate and because of his wife death in the past, and because he's scared that his daughter will end up being like his mother, and that is the only way he knows to like keep his daughter safe, right? So we feel that King Triton is not at fault here and he should be like overprotective at some point because we know that the outside world is actually really cruel, right? And the fact that Ariel is just stupid and naive. And then notice on how, like, right, in LO and DLO speech, they say that Ariel is not naive and that she's independent and praised. And now they say that she's naive directly, and that is directly agreeing with our first point, right? So we have absolutely no idea what opposition is trying to propose in today's debate, because their case keeps changing throughout every speaker, right? So, and another thing is that today in our side, right, we prioritize the more people, while the opposition side completely ignores them and just tells us on how Ariel is independent and how she is an example for people and she is not to blame for the stuff she has done. And like we feel that, right, we in our side, right, we prioritize the more people while we punish Ariel, and we let the people we give assurance for the people, and we're setting an example for the more people. We are putting the more people's safety at the like we're prioritizing their safety, and this is why our side benefits more and first, because also in upside they also they said a lot about how Ariel should be independent, and so in our side we feel that our side has the most benefits because we are letting Ariel be independent, we are banishing her from the kingdom, and we're banishing her from the kingdom, yeah, and then she gets all the independence she wants, and also the Mer kingdom is more safe, and we are more likely to prevent something like this from happening again in the future, right? And then also another thing is that like, is it fair to punish Ariel? Yes, it is fair to punish Ariel. Punishing her will do a lot of good, because like as our side has proven that we're banishing her to let her know that she is wrong. And do you think that after banishing someone, that person won't feel ashamed or won't feel like that she is wrong? So obviously that we are also giving Ariel a type of education here, that after she's banished, she will feel ashamed for being banished, and she will feel that she's at fault, and only that she will realize that she is wrong in the first place. And this is why today we feel that as Gulf, we will take today's debate. Thank you.
All right, thank you, government reply, for that speech, and thank you everyone for the debate. I think you can go back to the main room now. They'll be announcing the results there.